Hey, good morning. Today, we will be having our part two of the lecture on sociological theories of crime causation. So, for this discussion, we will be having our lecture on the theory of Richard Cloward and Lloyd Olin. It is about the differential opportunity theory. So, the DOT or the differential opportunity theory explains that the society leads to lower class wants things and society does things to people. So he claimed that there is a differential opportunity, or when we say opportunity, it is the chance for an individual, particularly belonging to different social class, to access or to success goals by both legitimate and illegitimate means, depending on the specific location of individual within the social structure. So, the social structure it represents is the classes, no, the lower class, middle class, and the upper class social structure. So thus, the lower class group are provided with greater opportunity for acquisition of deviant acts. So, ibig sabihin that those who belongs to the lower class has lesser opportunity compared to those who belongs to the upper class. So, it means that those who are poor are more likely to commit deviant acts than those who are rich because they have nothing to lose, no? Deviant, iba yung sa deviant kasi deviant is somewhat like a lesser offense compared to other crimes, no? Ibig sabihin natin doon na though marami namang criminal in the upper class, especially meron naman tayong classification of crimes when we say upper world crimes and underworld crimes. So basically, if we will talk about deviant acts, no, basically poor poor are most likely to be the one engaged in deviant acts. Also, he explains that individuals may have lack access to both legitimate opportunities or opportunity structure depending on neighborhood context. No? Uh, basically, when we say access opportunities, if you have money, you have a lot of opportunities. But based on this, the differential opportunity theories, it explains that the lack of opportunity for individual may contribute to criminal or deviant acts. Now, we have the subcultures depending on their neighborhood. No? We have three types of this subculture. The first one is criminal subculture. So when we say the criminal subculture, this is about the neighborhoods. There is a stable or there is criminal organization that can be identified. It means that uh, within the criminal subculture itself, no, uh, in a criminal organization, kahit na organization na yan, there is still a subculture, the criminal subculture. The same with within the class, no. Even though you are all criminology students, or even an IT or education students in one class, still there will exist a subculture of the class. No, meron talagang grupo-grupo diyan sa class natin. And then this, when it comes to criminal groups, still even though they are groups, but there will exist subculture within the group, no? Developing among lower class adolescent boys in neighborhoods with open legitimate opportunity structures. So, of course, no, in our neighborhoods, maraming mga yung mga youngster that engage into gangs. These are forming criminal subcultures. These neighborhoods also are characterized by systematic organized crime, and they provide an outlet in illegal employment for youths to attain wealth and get paid via illegitimate means. Successful criminals populate the neighborhood and become visible, serving as distinctive role models for children growing up in the community. So this criminal subculture will start at a gang, no? A gang level. So, meron lang 5, tapos naging 10, hanggang dumami na. And then, they will serve as the model for children to say that, oh, yung si A, uh, member ng gang na ganito, marami silang pera because they are performing illegal employment or they get paid by illegitimate means. So, he now will become a model for the youth to engage into criminal subculture. The second one is about the conflict subculture. So, when it comes to communities, there is no dominant criminal organization. Uh, or when it comes to conflict subculture, within that culture, within that group, meron tayong tinatawag na competing of groups within subculture. No? Sa isang community, maraming mga gangs. Ilagay natin a community of fraternities. 'Di ba meron tayong naririnig dati na when we talks about fraternities, merong nag-aaway. These are competing groups. Taogama, ano pa yung iba, they are fighting one another, no? Triskelion, uh, previous years, no, mga matagal na, itong dalawa nag-aaway ito because of the criminal organization and the subculture or conflict of subculture. So hindi sila magsing-abot ng idea nila ng gusto nilang mangyari. So they will have a conflict. Within that praxis of the uh, fraternities, mag-aaway-away. The same with that, no? The same with in the community. In one community, there are subculture. The subcultures will fight against each other to compete who will be the to compete with dominance. Oh, ganun din 'yan, no? So, develop in these organized communities where illegitimate opportunities are largely absent, and those that exist are close to adolescence. Such neighborhoods are characterized by social instability, and youth growing up in these conditions are deprived of both conventional and criminal opportunities. Lalo-lalo na if uh, the child or the youth or the adolescents are living in a slum area, no? Yung dati tinatawag natin na mga squatters area, ngayon iba na yung tawag sa kanila. We call them an informal settlers. So, in these conditions, meron dyan, kasi the condition is very poor and they don't have opportunities. So basically, kung walang opportunity, it will breed criminal behaviors. Now, as Cloward and Owen explained it, disorganized slum, disorganized slum, meaning yung sinabi ko kanina, slum sa atin dito sa US kasi slum yung tawag nila. Sa atin, dati squatters. Ngayon, recently, we call it informal settlers. Now, this contains outcasts of the criminal world. What crime there is tends to be individualistic, unorganized, petty, poor paid, and unprotected. So when we say petty crimes, baga mga theft of small amount, no, nagnanakaw ng small amount. Uh, Aside from that, meron ding yung poor conditions, maraming nagnanakaw. I will give you a good example of this. No, I think matagal naman kayo dito nagstay sa Dumingag, especially for those who are not coming from Dumingag, that there is a community here, especially malapit lang sa school natin, no, that is there are criminal subculture already. Ando nakatira yung mga carnapper, drug addicts, mga magnanakaw, who commit petty crimes, yung pagnanakaw ng small amount, mga bata, andon. This place, ito yung para siyang malapit lang dito sa atin. I will not name the place, but then there is a subculture. No? Next, we have also the third one, the retreatist subculture. So ito yung individuals who cannot gain entrance into either criminal or conflict subculture tend to cluster their subculture here. These are double failures who cannot make it either legitimate or illegitimate. So associated with drug use and drug cultures among some lower class adolescents. Cloward and Ohen characterize adolescents in retreatist subculture as double failures who cannot find place for themselves in either criminal or conflict subcultures, which is closely related to Merton's concept of retreatist. Clohen and Cloward and Ohen directed attention to the social environment and conditions that help to explain the formation of each type of deviant subculture. The double failures in poor neighborhood may withdraw from larger society and retreat into drug use and relative isolation. So, yung retreatist subculture, makikita natin, this is not only referring to drug use, no? Uh, yung may mga tao which results to frustration, kumbaga tinatawag natin na they are frustrated. They will result into this retreatist subculture. Kumbaga, bakit naging, if we will subject ourselves or if we will subject somebody into examination when it comes to their frustrations, maraming tao ang nag-engage into alcoholism, drug use. Bakit? Because of the frustration, the failure. They were not able to achieve their goals through legitimate or even illegitimate means. Baga, legal or illegal means, hindi nila nag-achieve. So they will result into this addiction, no? Especially in drug addiction. Ito yung mga, wala na talaga, they engage into yung iba alcoholism, yung iba engage into drug abuse because they were not able to achieve their objectives and resulted into failures. Uh, Particularly resulted into frustrations that results to uh, abuse of drugs. Okay. Now let's proceed to Albert Cohen and subculture theory of delinquency. Meron tayong na-discuss kanina about subculture theory. Now, Cohen claims that the lower class cannot socialize effectively. No? Baga, hindi sila makasocialize sa nasa taas. Okay. So in Cohen's typology, meron tayong apat na classification of subculture. Specifically, when we talks about delinquent boys, no, delinquents, yung mga nasa school age pa, high school, or early college years. So, sino ba to? Sino apat na to? No? There are college boys, corner boys, delinquent boys, and today's boys are tomorrow's criminal offender. So, unahin natin yung college boys. These are juveniles continue to strive for educational success. Though they are engaged into other activities such as gambling, drug sale, addiction, alcoholism, but then they strive to continue to achieve educational success through enrolling in college. So siguro mayroon dito sa atin, no? Hindi lang natin alam, but then they are considered college boys. The second one, corner boys, yung patambay-tambay lang, they are out of school youth. This juvenile lower their expectation and engage in marginal forms of deviance, drugs and alcohol particularly. The third one, delinquent boys. So ito na, nag-start na sila. Juvenile rejects the negative levels and redefines status in a manner where they can be successful through the process of reaction formation. So, if you can still recall the defense mechanism, which is the reaction formation. Kasi para makope nila yung failure nila, they will form a reaction formation. But this is a negative way. Baga, hindi man ako matalino pero marami akong pera because I sell drugs. these are already considered a delinquent boys. And of course, uh, today's boys are tomorrow's criminal. The fourth one. Kumbaga, they are already leading to become criminals. Oh, meron na sila mga connections, meron na mga ganito. Especially in drug selling and gambling. So in theory, school kids from lower class are labeled as either bad or stupid. They are There are three possible response to this initial label. So, uh, in particular, no, hindi naman ito common sa atin kasi dito sa atin is parang level lang halos, no. In terms to income, parang magkapareho lang yung income. Konti lang yung nakakalamang. But then when we go to big cities, when we go to other countries, in particular western countries, dito is prominent yung the lower class. Kasi yung income of the country, income of the people varies. No? Merong mayayaman talaga, meron din namang sobrang poor. No? Hindi ibig sabihin na doon ka sa Amerika, mayayaman lahat ng tao doon. No? It doesn't mean. So, sa atin, hindi natin makikita ito masyado because the income of the people, particularly within our province, hindi masyadong mataas ang gap of income. So, medyo level lang, no? So, accordingly, those who are belonging to lower class are stupid or bad. In particular, kung familiar kayo about the Black Americans, no? Mostly Black Americans, no, doon sa Amerika, they are labeling it as poor and stupid as well as bad. Uh, Yun yung label ng Black Americans, no? And then dito, wala naman. Now, initially, kaya nila tinawag na poor or ang lower class is bad or stupid because of this. Uh, they try, no? They try harder and then also they accept it and then they reject and redefine success. Okay, so those are the typology of Cohen's subculture. Now, let's proceed to the next uh, theory. Okay? After this, I will give you a short quiz for the topic. Okay. Now, let's proceed to social learning theories or the SLT. This is based on Tarde, Akers, Sutherland, Sykes, and Matza. Now, to, to, to discuss this, let us have the SLT or the social learning theory. This is a theory that leads to explanation of criminal behavior which maintains that crime is learned and more likely to occur when individuals differentially associate with people who involved in criminal or who are criminally involved, experience greater exposure to delinquent models, anticipate or receive more rewards and fewer punishment for crimes, and have a greater number of definitions favorable to crime. So, basically, social learning theory emphasizes that criminal behavior can be learned through association with those who are exposed or performing criminal acts, especially when the act is not detected and there is a lesser or fewer punishments given to any criminal acts. No, the criminal acts can be learned. That is the social learning theories. Now, for social learning theories, people learn from people around them. So it means those who are PO, those who perform criminal acts and you associate with them, you can learn the criminal acts. Uh, Simple lang naman yung simple lang yung explanation nito. Even your parents always say this, no? That sino yung barkada mo, so you will become who you associate with. Oh, if yung barkada is they are deviant, so you will become also deviant. Mm. This is how social learning theory explains. So say for instance, Kenneth hangs out with a bunch of guys who break the law. He is likely to learn from them that it's okay to break the law, just as the name suggests. The social learning theory is about how we learn our behaviors from those around us. So, the good example of this is the saying that goes, birds with same feathers flocks together. So, parang ganun din yun. Social learning theory. You can learn something from those who you associate. Okay? I know you already understand this because yun nga, yun sa sayings na uh, birds with same feathers flocks together. That is social learning theory. Now, Gabriel Tarde and the learning theories also explains about the how behavior is learned. Tarde was one of the first theories to believe that crime was something learned by normal people as they adapted to other and the conditions of their environment. So this pertains to the learning itself and the environment, uh, the learning and the environmental factors of learning. In particular, when we talks about the conditions of the living conditions of the people or the living conditions of the community, the behavior of the community and its living conditions can contribute to the behavior of an individual. Kung saan ka nakatira tapos ano yung conditions dyan sa tinitiran mo, it will reflect to your behavior. Next, also, Gabriel Tarde, in his writing, The Penal Philosophy, viewed all social phenomenon as a product of imitation and modeling. So, kumbaga, kung ano nakikita mo, sunon dayon, no? Mahilig ang Filipino ani, no? There is imitation and modeling. Ang isa na maligya gasolina, sunod bulan na maligya na po gasolina ang usa, tanawa gali. Going to from Dumingag to Mulave, tanawa diha pila ka buk gasolinahan, sa una wala na, nagtukod ang usa, and then after that daghan na kayo na gasolinahan. Okay, so the same with that, no? A good example is kanang sapatusan pa dos pagadian. Lately daghan na kayo ang sapatusan, but before that usaray nagsapatusan diya. The same with that, no? By imitation and modeling, if we see that there is a benefit of the business, no, we model, we imitate that. Okay, so modeling or imitation, this is a means which a person can learn new response by observing others without performing any overt act or receiving direct reinforcement or rewards. Now let's go to Ronald Louis Akers and the social learning theory. Now, for Akers, social learning theory states that people develop motivation to commit crime and the skills to commit crime through people whom they associate. So, ibig sabihin, the motivation itself develops when we say something or someone becomes successful in their behaviors, in their skills. No? In simple terms, people learn behaviors, values, and attitude by direct experience and observing others people's behavior through positive or negative stimuli. So Akers emphasized that criminal behavior is learned in both social and non-social situation through combination of direct reinforcement, vicarious reinforcement, explicit instruction, and observation. Both the probability of being exposed to certain behaviors and the natural or the nature of reinforcement are dependent. So what are the key tenets of the social learning theory? Okay, ito yung mga areas in which Akers explains. Okay, there are 5 key tenets. Ano yung tenets? Mga ideas. Oh, ideas ito. Now, uh, let us discuss now these key tenets. Well, according to Akers, Learning is not purely behavioral. Rather, it is a cognitive process that takes place in social context. So, ibig sabihin, uh, the learning process is not always behavioral, but it is a cognitive. It is the thinking process. No? What we see, we analyze it, we process it in our brain, and then after that, you process that in the brain. No? So it will become now your nature. Okay, next, we have also learning can occur by observing a behavior and observing consequence of the behavior. Tinatawag natin itong vicarious reinforcement. Kumbaga, you want to learn if there is a reward. You are motivated when you see that the behavior performed has a greater reward. Mhm. Next, we have also learning that involves observation, extraction of information from those observation, and making decisions about performance of behavior. This is, we call it observational learning or modeling. Thus, learning can occur without observable change in behavior. On the other hand, number four, we have also the reinforcement, which plays role in learning but is not entirely responsible for learning. The learners is not a passive recipient of information. So this is the cognition, the environment, and behavior of all mutually influence each other. So we call it reciprocal determinism. So ano yung ibig sabihin nito? The way you process it mentally, para bang reciprocal. No? Meron siyang maibibigay sa'yo, yung isa naman meron din namang maibibigay. Behavioral influence to each other. You perform certain act because nakita mo na beneficial siya to you. So, it means you want to perform this because you can get something from it. That is reciprocal determinism. Now, when it comes to learning, the series of cognitive and behavioral process, according to Bandora in his social learning theory, no, there are four areas of which a behavior can be learned. Now, what are these? We have the attention, the retention, reproduction, and motivation. So the first cognitive and behavioral process is about the attention. The way we focus to learn, uh, an observer must attend to the model behavior. You need to focus on your attention. And the learning process itself, no, when we apply this into learning criminal behavior, an individual cannot learn a behavior if his attention is lacking in the process. Kailangan na yung attention natin andun. The same with the classroom interaction. Your attention is a necessity when you want to learn. Kaya nga you focus your attention to something para you can learn something. No? Another important series in the process is the retention. How we retain the information. Though we focus, but then we did not retain the information, still, we cannot learn certain behavior. The same with the criminal behavior learning. So to reproduce an observed behavior, observers must be able to remember features of the behavior. So paano ginawa? Anong execution? The same with that. No? The third one is about the reproduction, or this is now the practice. No? The modeling itself. For you to learn the behavior, fully learn, no? Kailangan mo i-perform ito through reproduction. So this refers to propagation of the model. No? The propagation, it does not only on the replication of the behavior or the propagation of the information, but as well as the implementation of it, the execution. No, nakita mo na yung behavior is ganito. So I will try it. No, I will try to execute. No. Yung sinabi ko kanina, in a good example, 'di ba? When you try to observe from Dumingag to Mahayag, dati walang gasoline station dyan, dito na area. Ngayon, ang dami na ng gasoline station. Bakit? Because of of course, learning the behavior itself. Nakita nila na, oy, it's productive, it's profitable. So, they reproduce, they replicate the behavior. So, yung kapitbahay ko, nagtayo ng gasoline station. Ako, magtatayo din ako ng gasoline station. The same with that. Another example, punta ka ng Pagadian, makikita mo, dyan parang sa Labangan na yan. Labangan. Um, yung isa nagtayo ng bibingkahan. Nakita nila, uy, maganda yung kita ng kapitbahay ko. Susubukan ko rin. Now, that's the process of the reproduction of the behavior. Next is the motivation, the last one. This is the decision to reproduce or refrain from reproducing. Unobserved behavior is dependent on motivation and expectations of the observer, including anticipated consequences and internal standards. So ito yung the aspect of which na, oy, nakita nila, maganda yung kitaan ha, so ipagpatuloy nila yung behavior na yun. Pero pag negative ang implications ng motivation, uy, konti lang ang kita niyan, hindi ko susubukan yan. Their motivation will also decrease. So, parang ganon. So, ito yung social learning theory about learning or series of cognitive and behavioral process by Albert Bandura. Okay?